Think about the last time you made dinner. You unpacked the groceries, chopped some fresh vegetables on your favorite wooden cutting board, and got ready to prep some raw chicken. You washed your hands, rinsed the chicken in the sink, cooked it up, and then left the leftovers sitting on the stove to cool down completely before putting it in the fridge. Sound familiar? It's a routine for millions of people follow every single night. But if that sounds like your kitchen routine, you might be surprised to learn that you just committed two of the most common and potentially dangerous food safety mistakes possible. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Beyond the Label. I am so excited to be back with you with a brand new season. This podcast is your dedicated space for exploring food science, nutrition, and the actual facts behind the foods we eat every single day. We're here to cut through the myths, the internet misinformation, and the fear, replacing it with evidence, science, and clarity. Today, we are kicking off the season with the absolute foundation of our relationship with food, Food Safety 101. We are going to explore what food safety actually means, why foodborne illnesses happen, and the simple science-backed steps you can take to protect yourself. Grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's get into it. To understand food safety, we first need to understand the invisible ecosystem we live in. Food safety is the practice of handling, preparing, and storing food in a way that prevents foodborne illness. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, an estimated 48 million Americans get sick from a foodborne illness every single year. Most of these cases are mild, costing a few days of upset stomach, but they can be severe. These illnesses can happen because our food can become contaminated by microscopic pathogens, namely bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria, or viruses like norovirus, do not spontaneously appear to ruin your day. They end up in our food through contamination at the farm, during processing, during transport, or very often, right in our own kitchens through improper food handling. The good news is that preventing these illnesses is not buying expensive gadgets or being terrified of your groceries. It comes down to 4 fundamental evidence-backed steps established by the FDA: clean, separate, cook, and chill. Let's break each of them down in detail. The first step is clean. Bacteria can survive in many places around your kitchen, including your hands, utensils, and cutting boards. Proper hand washing is the first line of defense, and I mean real hand washing, not just running your fingers under cold water for 3 seconds. You need to wash your hands with plain soap and water for 20 seconds before, during, and after preparing food. Cleaning also applies to your produce. You should always wash fresh fruits and vegetables under running water, even if you plan to peel them. If you cut into an unwashed melon, the knife can drag bacteria from the rind right into the flesh you are about to eat. However, there is one thing you should always never wash: raw meat, poultry, or eggs. Remember my example at the beginning of the episode about rinsing chicken in the sink? When you wash raw chicken, the splashing water can spread harmful bacteria like Salmonella up to 3 feet away, contaminating your countertops, your clean dishes, and your clothes. Cooking the meat at the right temperature is the only way to kill the bacteria. Rinsing it just creates a bacterial slip inside in your kitchen. The second step is separate, which is all about preventing cross-contamination. Cross-contamination happens when juices from raw meat, poultry, seafood, or eggs come into contact with ready-to-eat foods like salad or fresh fruit. This prevention starts at the grocery store. You should always put raw meats in disposable plastic bags to prevent their juices from dripping onto your fresh produce in the shopping cart. At home, you need to maintain that separation. Use one cutting board for fresh produce and bread, and use a completely different cutting board for raw meat. If you only have one board, prepare all your fresh, ready-to-eat foods first. Then wash the board thoroughly with hot soapy water before using it for raw meat. Never put cooked meat back onto the same unwashed plate that held raw meat. It sounds like common sense, but it happens at the backyard barbecue all the time. The third step is cook. This is where we need to talk about food thermometers. A lot of people judge whether the meat is done by its color, texture, or just how long it's been in the oven. The USDA is very clear on this. You cannot tell if food is safely cooked just by looking at it. The only reliable way to know if food has reached high enough internal temperature to kill harmful bacteria is to use a food thermometer. Different foods have a different safe minimum internal temperatures. Poultry, including ground chicken and turkey, must reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Ground beef and pork need to reach 160 degrees. Whole cuts of meat like beef, pork, veal, and lamb chops need to reach 145 degrees. And here is the crucial part: they must rest for 3 minutes before carving or eating. That rest time allows the temperature to remain high enough to destroy pathogens. Fish and seafood should also be cooked to 145 degrees. Using a thermometer is not a sign that you're a bad cook. It's a sign that you're a smart one. The fourth and final step is chill. Bacteria grow most rapidly in what food safety experts call the danger zone. The temperature ranges between 40 degrees and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. If a food is left out on this range, bacteria can double in number in just 20 minutes. This brings us to the second major mistake from our opening example, leaving food out to cool completely. You should never leave perishable food out at room temperature for more than 2 hours. If the temperature outside is above 90 degrees, like at a summer picnic, that time drops to just 1 hour. You need to get leftovers into the refrigerator quickly. Your refrigerator should always be set to 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, and your refrigerator should be set to 0 degrees. When it comes to leftover, a good rule of thumb from foodsafety.gov is that if they are generally safe to eat for 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator. After that, the risk of foodborne illnesses goes up and it's time to throw them out. Speaking of throwing things out, let us decode the incredibly confusing food labels. We should see phrases like best by, use by, and sell by, and most people assume these are strict safety deadlines. According to the USDA, with the single exception of infant formula, these dates are not indicators of safety. They are indicators of quality. A best by or best if used by date is simply a manufacturer telling you when the product will have its best flavor and texture. A sell by date is for the store's inventory management, telling them how long to display the product. If a box of crackers is a week past its best by date, it might be a little stale, but it's not inherently unsafe to eat. To judge safety, you should look for signs of spoilage like off odors, strange textures, or mold. However, keep in mind that the dangerous bacteria that can cause foodborne illnesses does not always affect the taste, smell, or appearance of the food. This is why following the 3 or 4 day rule of leftovers is so much more important than trying to sniff out a week-old casserole to see if it's still good. The sniff test is a myth. It could not detect salmonella or listeria. Another topic that causes confusion and panic is food recalls. We see them on the news all the time. Bagged salads, peanut butter, or flour being pulled from the shelves. A recall happens when the food producer or a government agency like the FDA or the USDA discovers that a product poses a risk to the public. This usually happens for 2 reasons: the discovery of a pathogen and like listeria or E. coli, or the presence of an undetected allergen, like peanuts or dairy, which could be life-threatening to someone with allergies. When a recall happens, it is usually a sign that the food safety monitoring team is working. If you find a product in your pantry has been recalled, the instructions are simple. Do not eat it, even if you already had some and feel fine. Do not donate it. Either throw it away, securely in the trash, or return it to the store for a refund. Then, thoroughly wash any surfaces, drawers, or containers in your kitchen that a recalled product touched. As we wrap up the first episode of the season, I want to leave you with a shift in perspective. It is incredibly easy to read about bacteria and recalls and suddenly feel anxious about everything in your kitchen. But food safety is not about fear. It is about empowerment. It is about taking small, deliberate actions that protect you and your family. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be mindful. Start with the basics today. Wash your hands a little longer, grab a food thermometer the next time you're at the store, stop rinsing your chicken, and get those leftovers into the fridge before you sit down to watch a movie. Food is meant to be enjoyed, shared, and celebrated. By understanding the science behind the label and the science inside our kitchens, we can do exactly that with a total peace of mind. Thank you so much for joining me Season 2 premiere of Beyond the Label. We will continue this series about food safety for the next couple of episodes. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you next time.